everyone, welcome to the Snooze. Today we are very happy to have our 3 guest speakers. First, Ms. Jacob Tonkin from the Independent Water Efficient Agency, Waterwise. Next is Mr. Peter Robinson from the environmental charity Waste Watch. And last but not least, Mr. Ian Barker from Head of Water Sources at the Environmental Agency. We will be discussing about ethical challenges in financial management, focusing on stakeholders' interests, corporate social responsibility (CSR), and last but not least, corporate governance. First, let us have a brief introduction of what is ethical challenge and what each challenge is about. In recent years, ethics and corporate governance have received considerable attention after major international cases such as Enron and WorldCom. In trying to maximize shareholders' wealth, financial managers have to ensure good corporate governance and to face ethical challenges, as mentioned. We have Mr. Robinson to start with the stakeholders' interests.
Stakeholders are people who have a stake in the business. Although the primary goal of the firm is to maximize shareholders' wealth, the interests of these other stakeholders can influence the business decisions. The stakeholder view prescribes that the firms should make a conscious effort to avoid actions that could be detrimental to the wealth positions of its stakeholders.
Okay, next we'll move on to CSR, which will be introduced by Ms. Tompkins.
CSR means that a corporation has responsibility to society at large, beyond the maximizations of shareholders' wealth. Many people feel that a firm has no choice but to act in socially responsible ways. They argued that shareholders' wealth and perhaps a corporation's very existence depend on its being socially responsible. There is no definite answers and strong opinions about, particularly the environment, human rights issue, and transparency. We also have the corporate governance, which is a system that directs and controls a corporation. It specifies the structure through which company sets objectives, develops policies to specify ethical practices, and provide protections of stakeholders' interests.
Okay, but can any one of you give us some example of what are these challenges about, in case our audience are still puzzled on what are they exactly?
An example of good CSR is Haagen-Dazs and honeybee preservation. Honeybees are disappearing at an alarming rate, and that's bad news for the global food chain. Haagen-Dazs decided to create a microsite to raise awareness about the issue. The company is donating a portion of the proceeds from its Haagen-Dazs honeybee brand to research on the topic, and it launched a modest tweet cost campaign raising $7,000 in the last 2 days of November. Also, an example of bad corporate governance would be Enron. This is a famous case, and I think most people should know it. All the structures and mechanisms for good corporate governance. And in addition, it had a CSR task force and a code of conduct on security, human rights, social investment, and public engagement. However, the structures implemented were not enforced strictly. Instead, the management allowed a culture of rule-breaking and fraudulent behavior to flourish.
Sounds interesting, and I think our audience will now have a clear view of what these challenges are about. So now we'll go for a short break, and after this break, we will come back and have a look at the recent case of Starbucks regarding CSR. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Snooze. Before we start off our topic, we will first watch a clip about an incident happening at Starbucks. And after that, we will pass on the time to Mr. Ian Barker to talk more about it.
I would like to have a Java chip.
What size would you like?
Venti.
That will be $8.
Yeah.
Each share one venti Java chip.
Okay, come in.
Thank you.
Isha,
Yes?
what do you do? You're not supposed to turn off the tap. This is for hygiene purposes. Turn it on and go back to work now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that what took you so long?
Oh, the person take very long, but the person very sad. She got scolded for offing the tap.
Oh, that sure is interesting. Why not we,
Still running.
why did they leave it open?
You know, the person said for hygiene purposes.
Why not we post this out on Storm, and this is gonna be interesting. We might earn some money from this.
Hey, not bad. Okay, I think you should do that.
Let's drink.
Experts said leaving taps running for hygiene reasons was nonsense. People say that leaving the taps on is a wastage of water. What do you have to say?
The usage of water by Starbucks adhered to the World Health Organization, so it's not in violation. The technique was common and accepted in the industry. Starbucks' challenge was to balance the water conservation with the need for customer safety. So the deeper well system is currently in use in all the Starbucks retail stores, ensures that the local health standards are met. Of course, we do acknowledge that our company could cut down its water use and are trying alternatives such as the use of an ice bath to save water, but it wasn't very successful. In our most recent report, our CSR report, it says from promoting conservation in coffee growing countries to install green teams and recycling programs, Starbucks has established high standards for environmental responsibility. We have taken steps to reduce waste from our operations and recycle. We can preserve the Earth's natural resources and enhance the quality of lives around the globe. Starbucks actively seeks opportunities to minimize our environmental impact. Of course, some of the CSR Starbucks have carried out so far includes the use of organic coffees, which is grown using methods that are environmentally friendly, which doesn't include the use of pesticides, etc. Of course, we also do comply with the indicators of the minimum wage requirements to address the issues of child labour. So these are some of the practices we have done and to address the problems that have been shown in the article. Thank you.
In the first part of the video, negative CSR is in Starbucks. The Starbucks outlet leave the tap flowing. Research shows that 23.4 million litres of water are poured down the drain of 10,000 outlets worldwide due to a policy of keeping a tap running non-stop. During the press conference, CEO of Starbucks addresses to the public media and denied that Starbucks had wasted water resources. He then changes the topic by elaborating on Starbucks' good CSR practices. It is indeed true that Starbucks has good CSR practices. Example 1. Starbucks uses organic coffee which is grown by using environmentally friendly methods. It is done by reducing the use of toxic pesticides and fertilizers. Example 2. Starbucks complies with the indicators for minimum wage requirements to address to the issues of child labour and forced labour. Example 3. Starbucks makes contribution to the Global Fund to help people living with HIV in Africa. Whenever a customer buys a Starbucks Red product or pays with a Starbucks Red card, a small contribution will be made.
Opinions on this particular situation?
I find that leaving taps running all day is a shocking waste of water. And to claim they are doing it for health and safety reasons is totally bonkers.
Yes, and if they are doing all their basic cleaning procedures, I fail to see why they have to do this. There are a lot of other ways to stop build-up of bacteria.
Yes, Starbucks need not let the tap continue flowing for hygiene purposes. There are many ways to keep the water pipe clean. One of the ways is to use commercial cleaners. There are strong chemicals in the cleaners that eat up the calcium, lime, rust deposits that build up over time. Or you can keep your water pipe clean by installing a water softener that will circulate the water through a pump that has either a potassium or a salt filter to trap the minerals. Next, you can also use a lime remover. Hot water pipes are highly susceptible to lime buildup. If you find that this is the problem, empty half of your water pipe heater and simply add some lime remover to it. Refill the hot water tank and then let it set for a few minutes. Let the hot water run through all your taps until the water is clear and free of any bubbles and foam.
For us to think about. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for taking your time down and share your thoughts with us. Goodbye.
With the release of such news, people will then know that Starbucks has been wasting water unnecessarily. This could result in a reduction in patronage of customers, as it can be seen evidently that Starbucks isn't being socially responsible. We can learn from this that, though we will not be able to see the effects of practicing good CSR in the short run, it will affect the business in the long run.